All right. Hey, everyone. It is Sharon Ross with Marketing Technology Coach. And today we are going to try to do a live stream StreamYard with two people. I've just invited Mary LaChance. Oh, look at that. She's there. Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
walking upstairs. Sorry about this.
No worries. I have added you in, and let's put a little bit of an overlay here. We've got to play around with some stuff. So it's given me a little bit of information already on doing this. This is good stuff. All right.
Boy, sorry. I got distracted doing a letter of recommendation for one of the school robotics.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Hey. Now, I don't know if you've ever used StreamYard before.
No.
But what it does is it broadcasts to multiple destinations. So I have the basic paid entry level version. So they have a free version, but it's only one destination, which is kind of like, other than playing with it, why bother?
Yeah.
The other one is the one that I have is you can do two destinations, and then you can upgrade from there and do multiple destinations. So right now we are live streaming to both my Facebook page.
Oh my gosh. So live and I'm walking around the house. Nice.
And we're also my YouTube channel.
Nice.
And these broadcasts when we're done, they will become video and they'll be in the archives kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you walking up this it fits the theme. My theme is imperfect action is better than no action.
Exactly right.
So it totally fits that.
Yeah.
And you've already given me a little information. I don't know if you can see at the bottom of the screen here.
Yep.
It kind of cuts off my name and I put an overlay here so I can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
If I leave it off, it does the two separate windows fine.
Yeah.
I was trying to get fancy.
Well, it's good to test out different things, right?
Well, exactly, because I wonder if I can do this one. Oh, yeah, I can.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reading it.
So I think I'll leave that one up. But so we can do a quick little interview here. Introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm Mary LaChance. I think mostly on this because I am the co-president of the Glassberry Robotics and Engineering Club. So in that club, we started it in 2015.
2 years now.
Yeah. It's been a number of years. And I could go into all the stuff that's happened this year too. That was really good with that. We actually turned it over to the school this year because it became too much for me to run part-time as a volunteer. So the school is actually taking over running it because it's become so popular. But so we run, I actually ran first Lego League team. So, but the whole group was really about promoting robotics and engineering within the community.
Okay. So how did you come to start it up? Like a little background on why you put it together.
So, geez, back in, I think 2013, Nathan, my older son, wanted to buy a Lego EV3 kit, which they cost about $300 to $500, depending on what one you get. Now, he never ever spends money. So I was like, I don't want him to just get it and then have it sit in a corner. So I had heard about these robotics competitions and I was like, well, maybe I'll just go and try to start one of those on my own. Imperfect, why not? Let's just try, right? And so I coached that team for a number of years, but about 2 years into it, whenever I would tell parents that I had this team, a lot of the parents were like, oh, I I would love that. Like, can I get on your team? But you can only have 10 kids on your team. And the number of people who were asking me, I already had 9 kids on. I had 2 parents at soccer practice asked me to join. And I was like, man, I really think that we need to have more teams in this. So I talked to one of my friends who ran a robotics team in the younger set, like the kindergarten to 3rd grade set. And
wow.
And
okay.
And I said, I feel like we should try to recruit more coaches. And she's like, yeah, maybe we could do something at the library. But then a little bit later, she's like, well, have you ever heard about the Glastonbury Education Foundation? I'm like, no, what's that? And she's like, it's this group in town that gives grants to people who want to start up something. So she's like, do you want to try to start something? Sure, why not? Like, let's just throw together a grant proposal. So we put together a grant proposal, went and presented in front of the foundation, and they funded us for the first year. We thought we were going to have, I think it was 9 teams, is what we were, 7 to 9 teams the first year. So we sold it to them without really knowing how many people were going to want to do it.
Okay.
We just had this feeling. We still were like, a lot of people have asked for this. And so we did this information session. We had the superintendent of schools send out an email to everybody in the school system saying that we were going to have this information session. And we're at the 6th grade school auditorium a half hour beforehand looking at each other and going, do you think anybody's going to show up? And then it was packed. The entire auditorium was practically full when we did the presentation. And so instead of having 9 teams at the 4th through 8th grade level, we ended up having 12, I think, the first year.
Wow.
And when I said every year, it grew more and more. So this past year, we had 23 teams in town. The entire state of Connecticut only has 200. So, yeah.
Over 10%?
Over 10%. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
In just 5 years. And every year it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And we had to build robotics tables, which are 4 foot by 8 foot. And at the beginning, I had them in our basement. I'm like, I can't store 23 teams worth of stuff at our house. And so now it's been moved over to the school. But and through that, like, we had to, like, it was just like when you say imperfect action is better than no action, like, we were flying by the seat of our pants the whole time. Like, so we put through this grant proposal. Had never done one of those before, but we found some people in other communities to help us. Then in order to get the money, we had to be a nonprofit. So we're like, well, let's go figure out how to become a nonprofit. So we went and put all that stuff through. And then each year, we had to learn how to train more and more people. And how do you make the transition from something that was a little smaller to something that was bigger? And then as it kept growing and getting bigger, we're like, shoot, like, I work full time. As you know, I'm also on town council and you do this, all this other stuff. I'm like, I can't, and my kids aren't in the program anymore. They're in the high school. So like, I was running a program I wasn't even in anymore. And so we went back and we talked to the superintendent, and he's like, I don't know why it took you so long to come back to me. He's like, from the time that you guys started this, I thought you were going to ask us to take it over. So he was thrilled that we ran it for as long as we did. And my friend Wendy is actually now running the entire program, but as part of the school. So
well, and I suppose having it for such a long time, you were able to refine your systems and
totally.
hand over a fuller package to them.
Yeah, and each year, like so I had training. So we have a website where we put up training. We've helped other communities too to try to start it. So as we would go to competitions, people would hear about us, and so they'd be like, "Oh, hey, can I sit down with you for a little bit, learn how you did it?" So we've talked with people in some of the neighboring communities, and they're starting to start up other things like that as well. And we would refer them to the website, because as people would ask questions and stuff, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I just kind of knew that because I've been a coach for so long. So we put out stuff for that, and we did training, getting all the different materials. Each year we would expand out the number of teams, so we had to buy more materials, and like, how do you keep track of all that stuff? And what was really great about the whole thing too, like, it gave really good opportunities for my older son, Nathan, and in that he kind of ran logistics for us. So like as robots would come back in, I'd be like, check to make sure the robot has all the parts, go and take everything down in the basement, make sure it's all in the right spot, let me know what else we need to order. And because of that, he won an award through First Robotics this year at a district level, which in all of New England, they pick 6 kids each year. And he was one of the 6 kids to get the award this year because of the work that he did with all of this. Yeah.
And what a great life experience that will carry him forward. And I'm sure serve him really well.
Absolutely.
I mean, the business experience of doing all of that behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Even if it's a nonprofit, it's still going to be very similar to what you would need either in running his own nonprofit someday or being a leader in a business.
Yeah, because then it just doesn't seem as scary. Like he saw it from the very beginning when we were just our own team,
right,
all the way through to all the different things that we were doing. And each year we started adding more and more. Like one of the things 2 years ago, there's a competition that the kids go to. It's called a regional competition. And there are only, at the time, there were only 8 regional competitions in the entire state. And it's a big honor to be able to run one of those, especially like the high school team gets credit in their competitions if they run one of the regional competitions. So there's a lot of competition to try to get one of those competitions. And we were able to go to the guy that runs it for the entire state and be like, yeah, we account for over 10% of all the teams in the state. Let us have a competition of our own, especially because those competitions at max in our state have 24 teams that compete. I'm like, we could do one just with our own teams. Like we have that many. So yeah, it was, he really couldn't say no to us because of that. Yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, have you taken your systems and your training? You said you have a website. Have you monetized it at all as a fundraiser for the nonprofit, or is it just out there for people?
And we basically leave it out there for anybody to. It's because the group that we're in, the First Robotics, is all about trying to advance science and technology, and it's a nonprofit kind of thing. Like, how do we change the culture in the United States and around the world? They're all over the world, so that science and technology is elevated to the same level as sport. So much of it is to try to get people into this, and the volunteers that you get within First are just amazing. Way different than other robotics or science and technology competitions, because that is the mission. Like we often say, it's more than robots. But I'm like, if anybody really wanted to start up a business, it would be a great thing to try to start up. We just happen to do it as a nonprofit, but I'm telling you, like, I probably could have, we didn't charge the parents hardly anything because we got funding from the school. In the first year, we got the grant. After that, we got funding from the school. But parents would have paid just about anything that we had set the price at, because they know that it will get their kids to different places. And if they get onto the high school team, like my kids are on the high school team, there are, I think it's now $80 million worth of scholarships that are just for kids who do this competition. That's so awesome. Like Nathan applied to one for RPI where I went to college, and that, I believe it's $15,000 a year for 4 years. So yeah.
Oh, that's really awesome. So I'm going to ask you a logistics question about this StreamYard that we're using. On your end, do you see a way of putting comments in?
Chat with hosts and guests. Yeah.
Cool. Would you go ahead and post in the comments the URL where people can find more information?
Yeah, give me a second. It's a little bit long because it's a Weebly site.
That's okay.
I'm just going to go out and search for it and then paste it in. Yeah, and the website, we probably still need to update it for this year, but it includes both information about the kindergarten through third grade, and then, Wendy has updated some of it. So the kindergarten through third grade level is the FLL Explore, and then FLL Challenge is the 4th through 8th grade. There's not a lot of information about FRC, which is the high school one, because that's actually run through the high school and not through us. So we probably only have a link out to that one.
Okay.
So, yeah. But
did you put the?
Yeah, I put it's private chat, but I see comments and I don't.
I see the private chat.
I don't see a way to add it in. Maybe because I'm not logged in.
I can grab it from there, and then I can put it in the comments. Imperfect action, but we're getting it done. So, to show you what I can do on with StreamYard.
Oh, that's neat. Hey, look at that.
Yeah. And because we're doing both Facebook and YouTube, if I do that, it has the comments on YouTube as well as on Facebook.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to talk about so we started out with first robotics, but then now we're even looking into other competitions. I was trying to find what next, so our kids have done first robotics and Nathan really loved it, but Dan, we're trying out 3 other competitions, and I can actually send you links on those in case people are interested in those as well. So there's we were trying to figure out what could people do if we're still at home in the fall, right?
Which I don't know about for y'all, but for us, that's what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the robotics competition is a little bit harder if you can't get together. You would need to get together with your team at least to build the robot. So we were trying to find what are some competitions that people could do remotely. So the first one here, I'm gonna go and grab all the links for you so you can. One is called the Cyber Patriot competition. So this one was started by the Air Force Association, AFA. Yeah, Air Force Association. Basically, they are trying to build up more people who know about cybersecurity in the United States because we need more people, right?
Yeah.
So they created this competition to try to get people a fun way to learn about cybersecurity. So that competition, it's
technically at the school level, you said?
This one, actually, they have a middle school level.
Okay.
And then they have a high school level. And the high school level, you'd appreciate this, having a military background.
Yes.
They have 2 divisions. They have the services division, and then they have the open division. So if you have a junior ROTC or a Civil Air Patrol at your high school, you can do it through that on the services side. Or if you don't have that, even if you have homeschoolers or whatever, you can join on the open side. So we're starting in on that one. So that's the first one. The second one is the Conrad Challenge. What this challenge is about, now this one, I can't remember what age group it starts with. It definitely has high school, but I think the kids can be even younger than high school. The Conrad Challenge, it's about having kids solve real world problems. So this one, they have 4 standing categories, and I won't be able to name them all off the top of my head. And then they have 2 rotating categories that come in each year. So 2 new categories each year. And the kids are supposed to come up with a solution to a real world problem. So it walks them through, you would love this, like a whole innovation kind of thing. It could be a product or service, and they have to come up with a pitch in the first round.
Oh, nice.
So they come up with a pitch and they send that in, and you don't pay anything at all for this competition if you are just pitching. So once you submit your pitch, if they say, okay, you can advance to the next round, that's when you would pay to be part of the competition. And then they have, I think, 2 other ones where you create a business plan and all that, and then a final round.
Does it ultimately lead to VC funding?
I think they did say that a lot of VCs do this, and they actually recommend that you put in patent information before you submit your idea, because a lot of people will go and steal ideas. This is very similar to the robotics competition, FLL. It actually had 3 parts to the competition. One was building the robot. One was what they call core values. How do you work together as a team? And the third one was a project. So this is very similar to what the project was for FLL. And Dan really, really liked the project part of the robotics competition. Ethan liked the robot. And so I was like, hey, well, we should try the Conrad Challenge. This challenge also, by just participating in it, Clarkson University up in upstate New York, it's an engineering school, you get a $12,000 scholarship per year just if you participate in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
Is it? So there's that one. And then what was the last? Oh, yeah. Okay, and then the last one is the Congressional App Challenge. And what this one is, it's run through, I think it's the House of Representatives. You can come up, it says App Challenge, but it could be a website, it could be an app. You come up with some kind of technical solution for something to help your community. It's a very wide open. I've seen people who submitted stuff about teaching kids math. I've seen ones where it's about connecting people to social services and things like that. So it can be a wide range of things that you can do with this. You compete within your congressional district. So it could either be the congressional district where you live or where you go to school. Like where I live, my town cuts down the middle between 2 congressional districts. Sure. So we could compete in either one of those 2. But yeah, so it's another one you could totally do at home and then submit your stuff that way. So 3 different things that people can totally do remotely if we're all stuck at home in the fall again.
Now, as both of us are women in technology, yes. What is the mix that you see? Do you see girls, young women getting involved as well?
Yeah, it was one of the things with the Glastonbury Robotics and Engineering Club that we were trying to promote. We noticed that in the kindergarten through 3rd grade level, when we first started, it wasn't quite 50-50, but it was close to 50-50. When we first started the group, the 4th through 8th graders, it was maybe 75-25, but you get them in early, they stick with it. And so our numbers of girls in the program continues to grow because the girls who started in the kindergarten through 3rd grade level, a lot of them continue on. And so each year we've seen our percentage of girls going up, which has been really, really
That's encouraging.
So we've done, and where you talk about like, have you tried different things? Some of the things that we've tried was creating all girl teams. So we tried a bunch of different things, like how can we keep more girls in the program? Sure. And I'm telling you, those all girl teams, they're like unstoppable. They I don't know what it is. Like I hear they have different ways of goofing around. My team, the most I've ever had on my team was about 50-50. Okay. But on the all girl teams, they're like, oh, there are other things, they get chatty sometimes. Okay. But the boys will, go and wrestle or whatever. But yeah, those all girl teams, they're very dedicated, very focused. And so there's a disproportionate amount of girl teams who win in the competitions compared to the boys teams.
Wow.
And yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. It's really
Go
good.
girls.
Exactly. I'm like, well, and it's a thing that, like, I don't know, you've seen it, like, you see when we go into work, how hard it is sometimes to, like, how do you change that? How do you get more women in? And you gotta, I've talked with work, I'm in a women's group at work, and one of the things I pushed with them, is we were looking for new places to kind of back. We had done Girls Who Code and things like that. And I told them about First Lego League, because the one thing that you'll see in First Lego League, there are actual stats with First where they show how they've increased the number of underrepresented people, both girls and underrepresented communities. It's a big focus of First, because you need to get them younger. Like, by the time, if you're waiting until high school, it's almost too, I don't want to say it's too late, because we've had women join the high school too. Yeah. Because, and especially if you think, like, if people are starting in kindergarten and younger, going through the robotics program, when you get to the high school team and you haven't done all of that, it's much harder to jump in. So we want to try to get them when they're younger and bring them up through it. So we were trying different things to try to keep them in the program.
In your analogy at the beginning about wanting to be at the level of sports,
yeah,
the analogy fits there as well. Building the foundational skills at a younger age only helps you as you progress.
Yeah, I gave like one presentation where I was trying to make that analogy, and I showed a picture like of a high school softball team. Like, I played softball, and that ball, you're playing on a little league field. And when I was in college, it came in at 60 miles an hour. Well, if you've never played before,
right,
you aren't going to hit a 60-mile-an-hour ball. Like, so unless you've started younger and gained those skills along the way. So
sure,
definitely.
Well, Mary, this has been absolutely fabulous.
This is fun.
Thank you for playing with the technology with me, and also sharing this wonderful knowledge about not only your experience with robotics, but different places where people can check out information, maybe start some teams in their area.
Exactly.
So thank you for being part of my Imperfect Action this evening. And to the folks out there, I am Sharon Ross, and this is Mary.
Oh, Mary LaChance. Sorry, I was like, are we going to say Imperfect Action? This is great.
And I see you tomorrow. Thanks, Mary. And
thanks, Sharon.